Hi everybody, this is Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer. I'm here to talk to you about Leos, the esoteric nature of Leos. Let's see. The first thing I want to do is talk to you, Leos, about something that most of them seem to go through. Oh, and by the way, this video is for people with Leo sun sign, Leo moon sign, Leo rising sign, if you know your rising sign, or if you have a lot of planets in the 5th house of the chart, which is Leo's house. These sorts of things. People with this sort of chart's going to identify with this stuff. Leo is, let me show you the symbol for Leo, if you can see this. It's a circle with a dot in the middle, which is the sun. Can you see that? And what this represents is the center here of the sun, showing your spiritual centering. And then the external part of the circle is how you are going to radiate your own particular spiritual energy. Okay? And that is the main thing I really want to work on with you Leo people, is that, sometimes you read in regular astrology books about Leos being selfish or self-centered or this sort of thing, narcissism. I mean, that can be a trait of a negative, unevolved, immature Leo, certainly. But Leo is really about your unique gift and how you're going to show that to humanity or whatever group of humanity you interact with. For instance, this is just a funny example, but Mick Jagger is a Leo. I'm a big Stones fan and have been since I've been about 13. And, his parents wanted him to be an accountant. And he did study to be an accountant for a while. And then even when he was in the band, in the early days of the band, he was still going to school to be an accountant. And you think about if a Leo is too afraid to shine, if you don't know your center, that you have something to give humanity, and then you come out from that center of meditation, of knowing yourself, whatever that center is, to be able to radiate that gift out to the world. You think, Mick Jagger's an amazing performer, songwriter, actor, whatever he does, but mostly with the performing on the stage. I mean, to not know himself and say, yeah, I should just be an accountant, and that's good enough, or I'm too afraid to do that, or people aren't going to like me if I do that, or if I get famous or really popular, I'm going to lose people in my life, and think about how poor, if you're a Stones fan, I guess, how poor your life would be that you didn't have that gift. His spiritual gift wasn't, boom, coming out of the sun. Millions and millions of people would somehow be impoverished. They might not know that they miss joy and fun and whatever else that those gifts he had if they didn't shine. And that's something that each Leo needs to find. I'm not saying go quit your job and be on the stage, but how are you not letting that light out? What things do you do? Some people, for instance, might be in a relationship that isn't good for them, that someone puts them down, or you're afraid that your friends won't like you if you really dress the way you want to dress or express yourself the way you want to do. But truly, when a Leo's in their higher self, they are empowering others. You think of the sun shining. I mean, most creatures love to see, it's a nice sunny day, the little bunny rabbits, say it's been the winter and the sun's been kind of distant, or, it's been cold out behind the clouds, whatever. And then the sun comes out and little bunnies come out and birdies and everyone's having a good time. Kids are playing, people walking, and everyone's like, yay, the sun, This is how you want to operate in your life, blessing these people. Because if the sun weren't out and little bunnies are cold in their little nest and kids are inside, too bad it's not a sunny day, you're depriving people. You're depriving your own self of your soul's gift. And, another thing with Leos is being able to accept compliments, because there's a nature, like let's go back to the Mick Jagger analogy. If the crowd is excited, he comes out on the stage and the crowd's like, yeah, that makes him feel good to give a good performance. And then his soul, let's just say if it's a spiritual thing, his soul is growing by giving to the fans, and then the fans are being blessed and they're helping him by giving out their joy and appreciation. So it becomes this positive energy of growth that, if you're a Leo, your fans want to dote on you. They want to love you. They want to show you their affection and approval. And if you just go, oh no, not me, or, make all these excuses about why it's no big deal, it's like, that's no fun. Just say thank you. If you went backstage, if you met Mick Jagger after a show and he was like, yeah, that show kind of stunk and we were better in St. Louis than we were in Detroit or whatever. It's like, oh, you want to hear thanks. Yeah, great. Glad you enjoyed it. And, so Leos, just say thank you and take it in and know that by you taking in those compliments, you're blessing them and you're keeping that energy moving. There's certainly times again with your sun sign here, with the centering of your sun sign, you need to constantly be in meditation to know when to have a strong energy coming out and then not so strong. Like the sun, there's some, you don't want it blazing hot all the time. There's a gentle sunlight, to know how to work with your energy in that way. With the Mick Jagger thing, it's like you come out with a bang and do a bunch of big songs, but then you want to also do the ballads or the softer songs. So you learn to work with your energy. There are creatures that don't like the sun. Let's say an opossum. The opossum comes out when the bunnies are playing, the sun is bad and my eyes can't see and there are going to be people that are jealous of you because you're a Leo. There's going to be people that don't work with your energy. Doesn't mean you have to shut off. Those are the kind of people you say, okay, fine. Let them move along. Let the opossum grumble and go back in his hole till the nighttime. You don't have to change. If you know that you have control over your energy being strong and gentle and this and that, and you're being at one with yourself in that way, you don't have to have those sorts of characters around you. That's why it's important as a Leo person to look at who's in your life, who's supporting you, who's being mean to you, who's cutting you down, and be able to say, no, I'm setting limits with these people. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna tell them how it is. And again, I'm not saying you're a selfish or in your face kind of person. It's more about how your light shines, and that could be a bunch of different ways. And I think the key is who's not being blessed because I'm not doing something, because Leo is about, as you evolve as a Leo, it's not just about the self, the small self, the center. You get into that so that you radiate and you become aware of the group, that you as a particular individual Leo energy is impacting others. And having that sense of group consciousness is what it's all about being a Leo. I mentioned in other videos that there's mundane astrology rulership, and then there's an esoteric rulership. Well, of the planets, Leo is the same. It's in mundane astrology, it's the sun. In esoteric astrology, it's the sun. You don't get a new planet when you're working on that soul level. So it's still about working with that light, I just wanted to give you an interesting example. With me, I have some planets, a lot of planets in the 5th house. I'm an Aquarius, but I have these Leo energy. I have a really hard time making these videos. But I try to think of, because I'm very camera shy and just awkward sometimes in front of the camera, but I think, okay, who, if I don't do these videos, who is going to miss out on the information I have, some people are going to resonate with the way I say it as an astrologer. There's plenty of other astrologers out there, but I have my own little bunnies that want to hop in my sunlight, and I think, oh, I don't want to do the video, but that impacts the group, that I didn't do this, And I have another example from my life. When I was 6 years old, I was in the 1st grade, and we were going to put on a school play. And we had to pick names out of the hat about what role we were going to get. And I picked the lead person out of the hat. And there was this girl sitting next to me who was my friend, but she was totally shy. I'm outgoing, but I didn't want to be, for some reason, in the spotlight of this play. She had bus passenger. And I remember I quickly said, oh, let's switch. And I pulled it out of her hand before she knew what was happening. She had the lead. And she was terrible. She couldn't remember the lines. She couldn't project her voice. And I still remember being, when we did the play and I came out behind that cardboard bus anonymously with a bunch of other people, little kids, and there she was out there bumbling around, couldn't say the lines, and I remember it was like a spiritual thing. I still remember it. This play is bad because of me, because I was afraid to go out of my comfort zone and be that lead person. She's uncomfortable, she's miserable, way more miserable than I would have been. And all the parents, it's just, people could have enjoyed themselves. She could have been spared that humiliation. And that's what I mean about changing what you think about being Leo and being selfish. Because I was selfish to switch it. I forced her kind of to do it. And I knew the play was bad because of me. I knew she was unhappy because of me. I knew the parents were seeing a subpar performance because of me. And that really was something that made me grow spiritually and say, and I knew astrology, and as I learned more about astrology growing up, I need to step into that spotlight, that the way I can give to the world, the way the world's going to respond to me is going to help me grow, and then I'm going to give more out to the world. And so even it's this tiny little corner of your world, you're somehow either shining energy onto it and blessing it, or you're contracting and you're not. And something is happening, something isn't happening that could. So that's the thing about Leo. It's like, and always keeping with your meditation and knowing when is it right to shine real strong, when is it, to pull back. And, for instance, it could have been a different story with me if I was real bossy and wanted to elbow and get that front part, and be that lead. It might have been my spiritual step with Leo energy to be humble and be in the background, and let someone else shine. But it's still about how does that affect the group? How did my choice affect the group? And I could have chosen to be the bus passenger and shine gently, but in that instance it was, I needed to be in the lead. I needed to be in the spotlight, and I was too chicken to do it. And there was suffering. I mean, of course, mild suffering, everybody got over it. But think about that in your world. If you're in a relationship you're unhappy with, or a job with abusive people, whatever, how, you need to be spruced up, strong in your spiritual self. And how many people you're going to bless if you're in a relationship with someone who adored you? You wouldn't even know how your energy is authentic and shining out and blessing people wherever you go, because you're not miserable, because you feel lifted up as a Leo, that someone's telling you're a queen or a king. You need that to operate at your top-notch spiritual functioning. So always work with meditation, coming into that center and trying to say, what is my next step? How can I shine? What is keeping me from shining? What steps do I need to take? So that's my message for Leos, and I will be back next month with messages for Virgos, and thanks a lot.